All right, so we're back. Oh, maybe I should put an announcement out on social media. I'm live right now to read the book, watch, and share. All right. Day 2 of so I guess we'll just wait and see. Oh, please be the count. Okay. I'll wait like 2 more minutes. Shout out to the one person here. I'm just gonna do it just because. Even if I'm reading to myself. Well, that would be the worst thing ever. Whoa, Brent Frohoff Volleyball Induction Hall of Fame. Yo, no way. Where's the sound? Okay, not bad. All right. Welcome back to Storytime with Two-Seater. My name's Caleb, and the book we are reading is Diary of a Wimpy Kid. This is the first book of the series, and there's a lot of stuff I didn't remember because last time I read it I was in I was in elementary school. It's been a while, but it's bringing back some great memories. So let's get started. Hi, Jax. Okay. Thursday. Yesterday, Roderick got a new heavy metal CD, and it was one of those parental warning stickers on it. I've never gotten to listen to one of those parental warning CDs because mom and dad never let me buy them at the mall. So I realized the only way I was going to get a chance to listen to Roderick's CD was if I snuck out of the house. This morning, after Roderick left, I called up Rowley and told him to bring his CD player to school. Then I went to Roderick's room and took the CD off his rack. You're not allowed to bring personal music players to school, so we had to wait to use it until after lunch when the teachers let us outside. As soon as we got the chance, me and Raleigh snuck around the back of the school and loaded up Roderick's CD. But Raleigh forgot to put the batteries in his CD player, so it was pretty much worthless. Then I came up with this great idea for a game. The object was to put the headphones on your head and then try to shake them off without using your hands. The winner was whoever could shake the headphones off in the shortest amount of time. I had to I had the record with 7.5 seconds, but I think I might have shook some of my feelings loose with that one. Right in the middle of our game, Mrs. Craig came around the corner and caught us red-handed. She took the music player away from me and started chewing us out. But I think she had the wrong idea about what we were doing back there. She started telling us how rock and roll is evil and how it's going to ruin our brains. I was going to tell her that there weren't even batteries in the CD player, but I could tell she didn't want to be interrupted. So I just waited until she was gone, and then I said, "Yes, ma'am." I was going to tell her that there weren't even any batteries. I read that part. But right when Mrs. Craig was about to let us go, Rowley started blubbering about he doesn't want rock and roll to ruin his brains. What a chump. Honestly, sometimes I don't know about that boy. Friday. Well, now I've gone and done it. Last night, after everyone was in bed, I snuck downstairs and listened to Roderick's CD on the stereo in the family room. I put Roderick's new headphones on and cranked up the volume really high. Then I hit play. First, let me just say I can definitely understand why they put that parental warning sticker on the CD. They said poo poo pee pee words. But I only got to hear about 30 seconds of the first song before I got interrupted. It turns out I didn't have the headphones plugged into the stereo, so the music was actually coming from the speakers, not the headphones. Dad marched me up to my room and shut the door behind him. And then he said, "Let's you and me have a talk, friend." There's him getting in trouble. There's his dad chewing him out. Whenever Dad says friend that way, you know you're in trouble. The first time Dad ever said friend like that to me, I didn't get that he was being sarcastic, so I kind of let my guard down. Friend equals good. But I broke the window. I don't make that mistake anymore. Tonight, Dad yelled at me for about 10 minutes, and then I guess he decided he'd rather be in bed than standing in my room in his underwear. He told me I was grounded for playing video games for 2 weeks, which is about what I expected. I guess I should be glad that's all he did. The good thing about Dad is that when he gets mad, he cools off real quick, and then it's over. Usually, if you mess up in front of Dad, he just throws whatever he's got in his hands at you. Good time to screw up, bad time to screw up. If his dad's holding a newspaper, that would make sense. If he's holding bricks and the brick laying device, probably not. Mom has a totally different style when it comes to punishment. If you mess up and mom catches you, the first thing she does is to take a few days to figure out what your punishment should be. That's annoying. Oh my. And when you're waiting, you do all these nice things to try and get off easier. I just dusted the dining room floor for the heck of it. How thoughtful of you. But then after a few days, right when you forget you're in trouble, that's when she lays it on you. Are you having fun? Yeah. No video games for a week. I'd be heated if that was my mom. I would confront her about that. Oh, this page was bookmarked for some reason. Monday. This video game ban is a whole lot tougher than I thought it would be. But at least I'm not the only one in the family who's in trouble. Roderick's in some hot water with mom right now, too. Manny got a hold of one of Roderick's heavy metal magazines, and one of the pages had a picture of a woman in a bikini lying across the hood of a car. And then Manny brought it to daycare show and tell. That is hilarious. Kid's like 4. Anyway, I don't think mom was too happy about getting that phone call. I saw the magazine myself, and it honestly wasn't anything to get worked up over. But mom doesn't allow that kind of stuff in the house. Roderick's punishment was that he had to answer a bunch of questions mom wrote out for him. So this is in the mom's handwriting, and below each question it has Roderick's handwriting. Did owning this magazine make you a better person? No. Did it make you more popular at school? No. How do you feel about having owned this type of magazine now? I feel ashamed. Do you have anything you want to say to women for having owned this offensive magazine? I'm sorry, women. I'm sorry, women. Wednesday. I'm still grounded for playing video games, so Manny has been using my system. Mom went out and bought a whole bunch of educational video games, and watching Manny play them is like torture. What number comes after 2 and rhymes with tree. Three, I swear. It's 3. The good news is that I'm finally figured out how to get some of my games past Riley's dad. I just put one of my discs in Manny's Discovering the Alphabet case, and that's all it takes. Okay, why would the dad not be concerned that they're learning the alphabet when they're in middle school? It's different. Thursday. At school today, they announced the student government elections are coming up. To be honest with you, I never had any interest in student government. But when I started thinking about it, I realized getting elected treasurer could totally change my situation at school. Weird cheerleaders are tired of riding to games in the same bus as the nerds in the band. Let's see what I can do. Bro. Not saying that's how to do it, but I mean. And even better, we jocks just need an air pump to inflate our only football. Yeah, sorry, I can't help you with that. Why? I played football. What a bunch of jerks. Nobody ever thinks about running for treasurer because all anyone ever cares about are the big ticket positions like president and vice president. So I figure I'd sign up tomorrow. The treasurer job is pretty much mine for the taking. Friday. Today, I went and put my name on the list to run for treasurer. Unfortunately, this kid named Marty Porter is running for treasurer too, and he's really brainy at math, so this might not be as easy as I thought. Today, I told Dad that I was running for student government, and he seemed pretty excited. It turns out he ran for student government when he was my age, and he actually won. Dad dug through some old boxes in the basement and found one of his campaign posters. It says, integrity, honesty, know-how. Vote Frank Heffley for secretary. I mean, look at that face. Is that honesty or what? I thought the poster idea was pretty good, so I asked Dad to drive me to the store to get some supplies. I loaded up on poster board and markers, and I spent the rest of the night making all my campaign stuff. So let's just hope these posters work. Monday. I brought my posters to school today, and I have to say, they came out pretty good. Do you want Marty Porter to be your treasurer? Hey, you're dropping all of our money, fool. Dar. Remember in second grade how Marty Porter had head lice? Do you really want him touching your money? Oh my gosh. That's a low blow. That's a low blow. I started hanging my posters up as soon as I got in, but they were only up for about 3 minutes before the vice principal Roy spotted them. Mr. Roy said you weren't allowed to write fabrications about other candidates, so I told Mr. Roy that the thing about head lice was true, and how practically closed down the whole school when it happened. But he took down all my posters anyway. So today, Marty Porter was going around handing out lollipops to buy himself votes, while my posters were sitting at the bottom of Mr. Roy's trash can. I guess this means my political career is officially over. October, Monday. Well, it's finally October, and there are only 30 days left until Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday, even though my mom says I'm getting too old to go trick-or-treating anymore. Halloween is Dad's favorite holiday too, but for a different reason. On Halloween night, while all the other parents are handing out candy, Dad is hiding in the bushes with a big trash can full of water, and if any teenagers pass by our driveway, he drenches them. Dude, what a smile on his face. He does that out of fun, not out of spite. I'm not sure Dad really understands the concept of Halloween, but I'm not going to be the one who spoils his fun. Trick or treat. Tonight was the opening night of Crossland High School Haunted House, and I got Mom to agree to take me and Raleigh. Raleigh showed up at my house wearing his Halloween costume from last year. When I called him earlier, I told him to just wear regular clothes, but of course he didn't listen. That's really ridiculous. Hi, Jill. I tried not to let it bother me too much, though. I'd never been allowed to go to Crossland Haunted House before, and I wasn't going to let Rowley ruin it for me. Roderick has told me all about it, and I've been looking forward to it for about 3 years. Anyway, when we got to the entrance, I started having second thoughts about going in. Good evening. Obviously, you can see him hiding under there. But Mom seemed to like it. Mom seemed like she was in a hurry to get this over with, and she moved us along. Once we're through the gate, it was one scare after another. There were vampires jumping out after you and people without heads and all sorts of crazy stuff. But the worst part was this area called Chainsaw Alley. There was this big guy in a hockey mask, and he had a real chainsaw. Roderick told me the chainsaw had a rubber blade, but I wasn't taking any chances. That looks like a bubble wand. Maybe it's just a drawing. Right when it looked like the chainsaw guy was going to catch us, Mom stepped in and bailed us out. That's not nice. I'm sorry, ma'am. Oh. Mom made the chainsaw guy show us where the exit was, and that was the end of our haunted house experience right there. I guess it was a little embarrassing when Mom did that, but I'm willing to let it go this one time. Saturday, the Crossland haunted house really got me thinking. Those guys were charging $5 a pop, and the line's just halfway around the school. I decided to make a haunted house of my own. Actually, I had to bring Rowley in on the deal because Mom wouldn't let me convert our first floor into a full-out haunted mansion. I knew Rowley's dad wouldn't be crazy about the idea either, so we decided to build the haunted house in his basement and just not mention it to his parents. Me and Rowley spent most of the day coming up with an awesome plan for our haunted house. Here was our final plan. I'll just describe it. Hall of Screams, Lake of Blood, Bottomless Pit, Rat Tunnel, Maze of 1,000 Skulls, Knife Alley, Hand Hall, Acid Lake. That is ridiculous. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Mel. I don't mean to brag or anything, but what we came up with was way better than the Crossland High School haunted house. We realized we were going to need to get the word out that we were doing this thing, so we got some paper and made a bunch of flyers. I'll admit maybe we stretched the truth a little in our advertisement, but we had to make sure people actually showed up. Haunted house with live sharks. By the time we finished putting the flyers up around the neighborhood and got back to Rowley's basement, it was already 2:30, and we hadn't even started putting the actual haunted house together yet. So we had to cut some corners for our original plan. You gotta be kidding me. When 3 o'clock rolled around, we looked outside to see if anyone had showed up, and sure enough, there were about 20 neighborhood kids waiting in line outside Rowley's basement. Now, I know our flyer said admission was 50 cents, but I could see that we had a chance to make a killing here. So I told the kids the admission was $2 and the 50-cent thing was just a typo. The first kid to cough up $2 was Shane Sneela. He paid his money and we let him inside, and me and Riley took our position in the Hall of Screams. The Hall of Screams was basically a bed with me and Riley on either side of it. Rah! Really? That's interesting because I plan on going to New York pretty soon, hopefully. And it seems very intriguing. Come to California. It's awesome. I'm surprised you know we were in California. The Hall of Screams was basically a bed with me and Rowley and I guess we made the Hall of Screams a little too scary because halfway through, Shane curled up in a ball underneath the bed. We tried to get him to crawl out from under there, but he wouldn't budge. I started thinking about all the money we were losing with this kid clogging up the Hall of Screams, and I knew we had to get him out of there quick. Eventually, Rowley's dad came downstairs. At first, I was happy to see him because I thought he could help us drag Shane out from under the bed and get our haunted house cranking again. But Rowley's dad wasn't really in a helpful mood. Rowley's dad wanted to know what we were doing and why Shane Sneela was curled up under the bed. That's hard to say. We told him that the basement was a haunted house and that Shane Sneela actually paid for us to do this to him, but Rowley's dad didn't believe us. I admit that if you looked around, it didn't really look like a haunted house. All we had time to put together was the Hall of Screams and the Lake of Blood, which was really just Rowley's old baby pool with half a bottle of ketchup in it. Wow. I tried to show Rowley's dad our original plan to prove that we were really running a legitimate operation, but he didn't seem convinced. Yeah. Here's that. Greg had the plan, but he set up two things with a half bottle of ketchup, so I don't believe him. And to make a long story short, that was the end of our haunted house. The good news is, since Rowley's dad didn't believe us, he didn't make us refund Shane's money, so at least we cleared $2 today. Sunday, Rowley ended up getting grounded for that whole haunted house mess yesterday. He's not allowed to watch TV for a week, and he's not allowed to have me over at his house during that time. That last part really isn't fair because that's punishing me, and I didn't even do anything wrong. And now where am I supposed to play my video games? Anyway, I felt kind of bad for Rowley, so tonight I tried to make it up to him. I turned on one of Rowley's favorite TV shows and I did a play-by-play over the phone so he could kind of experience it that way. Interesting. That's funny. I did my best to keep up with what was going on the screen, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure if Rowley was getting the full effect. I bet this part's gonna be funny. Whoop! I was right, it was funny. Rowley's just standing in the bathroom doing nothing. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions, Melissa, because it's just a kid's book. Tuesday. Well, Rowley's grounding is finally over and just in time for Halloween too. I went up to his house to check on his costume, and I'd have to admit, I'm a little jealous. Rowley's mom got him this night costume that's way cooler than his costume from last year. His night outfit came with a helmet and a shield and a real sword and everything. Oh, the helmet's kind of tight. Looks tough. I'd never had a store-bought costume before. I still haven't figured out what I'm gonna go as tomorrow night, so I'll probably just throw something together last minute. I figure maybe I'll bring back the toilet paper mommy again. But I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow night, so that might not be the smartest choice. In the past few years, the grown-ups in my neighborhood have been getting cranky about my lame costumes, and I started thinking that it's actually having an effect on the amount of candy I'm bringing in. What are you supposed to be? A cowboy? Double baseball hats? This kid's smart enough to be, if you remember Caden from any of our videos, Caden has a younger brother who's actually really smart, but it seems like something he would do. Just saying. But I don't really have time to put together a good costume because I'm in charge of planning out the best route for me and Rowley to take tomorrow night. This year I've come up with a plan that'll get us at least twice the candy we scored last year. Halloween. About an hour before we were supposed to start trick-or-treating, I still didn't have a costume. At that point, I was seriously thinking about going as a cowboy for the second year in a row. But then Mom knocked at my door and handed me a pirate costume with an eye patch and a hook and everything. Okay, that's not bad. Rowley showed up around 6:30 wearing his night costume, but didn't look anything like it looked yesterday. Rowley's mom made him all these safety improvements to it, and you couldn't even tell what he was supposed to be anymore. She cut out a big hole in the front of the helmet so he could see better, and covered him up in this reflective tape. She made him wear this winter coat underneath everything and replaced the sword with a glow stick. Oh, it's just like in the movie. I started grabbing my pillowcase, and me and Raleigh started to head out, but Mom stopped us before we could go out the door. I want you to take Manny with you. Oh my. The mustache is as long as his face. Man, I should have known there was a catch when Mom gave me that costume. I told Mom there was no way we were taking Manny with us because we're going to hit 152 houses in 3 hours. And plus, we're going to be on Snake Road, which is way too dangerous for a little kid like Manny. I should never have mentioned that last part because the next thing I knew, Mom was telling Dad he had to go along to make sure we didn't step foot outside our neighborhood. Dad tried to squirm out of it, but once Mom makes up her mind, there's no way you can change it. Bruh, that sucks. Before we even got out of our driveway, we ran into our neighbor, Mr. Mitchell, and his kid, Jeremy. So, of course, they tagged along with us. Manny and Jeremy wouldn't trick or treat at any houses with spooky decorations on them, so that ruled out pretty much every house on our block. Dad and Mr. Mitchell started talking about football or something, and every time one of them wanted to make a point, they'd stop walking. Dude, the other Mr. Mitchell's kid just looks like a freaking dork. Was that probably the costume I wore, kid? Yes. I'm sorry. Past Caleb, you were a dork. So we're hitting about one house every 20 minutes. Bruh. After a couple hours, Dad and Mr. Mitchell took the kids home. I was glad because that meant me and Rowley could take off. My pillowcase was almost empty, so I wanted to make up as much time as possible. A little while later, Rowley told me he needed a potty break. I made him hold off for another 45 minutes, but by the time we got to my grandma's house, it was pretty clear that I didn't let Rowley use the bathroom. If I didn't let Rowley use the bathroom, it was going to get messy. So I told Rowley if he wasn't back outside in 1 minute, I was going to start helping myself to his candy. There's Rowley doing the potty dance. After that, we headed back on the road, but it was already 10:30, and I guess that's when most grown-ups decide Halloween is over. You can kind of tell because that's when they started coming to the door in their pajamas and giving you the evil eye. That's funny. We decided to head home. We made up a lot of time after Dad and Manny left, so I was pretty satisfied with how much candy we took in. When we were halfway home, this pickup truck came roaring down the street with a bunch of high school kids in it. The kid was in the back holding a fire extinguisher. When the truck passed by us, he opened fire. Wow. I had to give Rowley credit because he blocked about 95% of the water with his shield, and if he hadn't done that, all of our candy would have gotten soaked. When the truck drove by, I yelled something that I regretted about 2 seconds later. We're calling the cops. But the driver slammed on the brakes, turned his truck around, and me and Rowley started running, but those guys were right on our heels. They were in a truck. The only place I could think that was safe was Grandma's house, so we cut through a couple backyards to get there. Grandma was in bed already, but I knew she keeps a key under the mat on her front porch. Once we got inside, I looked out the window to see if those guys had followed us. Sure enough, they did. I tried to trick them into leaving, but they wouldn't budge. Well, I guess now that we're safe in our house, you can't get us. Guys are just posted. After a while, we realized the teenagers were going to wait for us, so we decided we're just going to have to spend the night at Grandma's. That's when we started getting cocky, making monkey noises at the teenagers and whatnot. Well, at least I was making monkey noises. Riley was kind of making owl noises, but I guess it was the same general idea. I called Mom to tell her we were going to crash at Grandma's for the night, but Mom sounded really mad on the phone. She said it was a school night and that we had to get home right that instant, so that meant we were going to have to make a run for it. That's weird because I looked out the window at this time. I didn't see the truck, but I knew those guys were hiding somewhere and weren't just trying to draw us out. So we snuck out the back door, hopped over Grandma's fence, and ran all the way to Snake Road. I figured our chances were getting better there because there aren't any streetlights. Oh, Snake Road is scary enough on its own without having a truckload of teenagers hunting you down. Every time we saw a car coming, we dove into the bushes. It must have taken us a half hour to go 100 yards. What an exaggeration. But believe it or not, we made it all the way home without getting caught. Neither one of us let our guard down until we got to my driveway. But right then, there was this awful scream, and we saw a big wave of water coming towards us. Man, I forgot all about Dad, and we totally paid the price for it. His dad splashed him with water, thinking it was one of those darn teenagers. Shucks. When me and Rowley got inside, we laid out all our candy on the kitchen table. The only things we could salvage were a couple of mints that were wrapped in cellophane and the toothbrushes Dr. Garrison gave us. I think next Halloween I'll just stay home and mooch some Butterfingers from the bowl Mom keeps on the refrigerator. Well, the next chapter starts a new month, and I think we're going to call it for the book. I'll be on, I guess, for a couple more minutes for people who have any questions about two-seater, you know? I'm an open book. If you don't know, my name's Caleb. I'm the director, producer, editor for two-seater. The other guys are just the talent. I edit the whole thing. I film, which, oh gosh, it's almost 1. I'm going to be filming them today, so if you have any suggestions, you know. Oh my. I need a new mic stand. That could be one of the suggestions. I forgot what the question mark was on the keyboard. Because, I mean, there's 4 of you, and come on. There's got to be someone who doesn't know something about two-seater. Let's see. Wonder how many people saw my Snapchat story. What's your favorite animal? Oh, my eyelid's twitching. My favorite animal is a frog. Wow. You see your name on here? Not a real friend if you didn't join the live stream. So yeah. There's 5 people. 4 people. So once it turns like 101, I'll probably just end the stream. I'll probably cut this part out. Oh shoot. One of my work buddies from church actually got COVID, so he just texted me back. Oh. Dang. Yeah. um Here's something interesting. That big wall behind me, or actually during quarantine, first couple weeks, I painted my room. It used to be all blue, like a deep, deep blue. And so I painted it white. So the whole room's white now. I'm looking to get some posters, maybe. I have a Rocky poster from the movie Rocky, which is sick. I have an American flag just because I thought it was cool. I have no political affiliations. Um, I have a Vans tapestry right there in that chair. That's gonna be cool. I think I'm gonna hang it above my mirror. The little notes that I read every day. But yeah, that's about it. Any suggestions for next week? Or no, tomorrow, because I'll be reading tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be continuing Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It will be beginning in November of his time, so we're kind of catching up with this time of the year. So be back here at 12:30 p.m. tomorrow. So I guess we'll see you then.